Hello. In this video, I'm going to talk about the methodology that I use to pick a trailing stop loss. While not scientific, it does give me a reasonable expectation of profit in most circumstances. Here we have the TradingView app looking at BNB. As of late, this coin has been very unpredictable and difficult to trade. As you can see from the chart, it has a lot of buy opportunities and it's pretty much all over the place for its percentages in terms of its volatility. As we look at this chart, we see a lot of buy and sell markers, but really we want to look at where we have buy markers but no sell markers. That's going to give us the best opportunity to figure out what a reasonable trailing stop loss is, both in the arming value and in its retracement value. So let's start by zooming in on this chart and picking a good area to actually study. Okay, here we have 3 buy signals. Now you'll see on the right hand side I have the percent chart or percent scale. Now you'll notice at the top of this peak, roughly at the 0.5% area, there's no sell marker. This is where you want to be able to use a trailing stop loss to try to get this profit. As you can see, we have a buy, in fact the first one just below the 0.2% mark on the left hand side. So if you take as a rough estimate 0.2 to 0.4%, that gives you a 0.2 variance. So worst case scenario, this first buy marker breaks even. Now you'll notice the two next to it, a rough estimate would be 0.5. Now yes, I know that the candlesticks do drop below the 0.6 marker, but you need to take into account slippage and lag. So I always take off at least 0.1% as a slippage or lag indicator. So by using what I did earlier on the first candlestick, if I look at 0.2% as my rough arm value, then I'm looking at roughly 0.5, 0.5 or 0.6% profit. And since my break even is 0.2%, I've made a 0.3 profit for just this particular area. So that gives us a rough estimate of an arming value. But now we need to look at the retracement. The retracement value is usually found pretty close to the buy signal by the candlesticks themselves. For example, let's see if we can get a good close-up here. You'll see these larger candlesticks, like this one right here. As you can see, it's pretty decently sized. It's roughly 0.05 to 0.19% in length. So you could easily say 0.15 retracement, or what I prefer is to round it down to the nearest tenth, or 0.1% retracement. So that gives us a trailing stop loss value of 0.2% with a 0.1% retracement. Now let's zoom back out here. And let's see if this holds true for another candlestick. And by doing this over a series of different candlesticks, you can get a rough estimate of an average. Now here you see a very generous one. Roughly 0.1% for the buy marker. And we have a sell marker at 1.3% roughly. So in this case, that particular retracement, 0.2% with a 0.1% retracement, is probably going to give us a reasonable 1% profit just because of this candlestick here. That's reasonable and that's acceptable. Again, we're not looking to get necessarily the highest point possible unless we use the sell signal directly. We're looking for a reasonable profit that can be repeated over and over under a multitude of different conditions. Okay, so let's zoom back out and let's search for another one. Let's see if we can find one that has a buy marker without the sell markers. And this is a good candidate. As you see here, this is a loss. This is where things start going downhill in a bad way. So let's see. This candlestick on the far left is going to probably end up being a loss. But if we get near the bottom, like this candlestick, let's say we get a rough 0.5%. That's from the highest point over here, a rough 0.3% profit. That keeps us at a safe zone to actually get rid of it before it starts dropping. So while it's not a lot of profit, it gets us out of the asset before this big drop takes place. So again, the retracement helps us avoid this. Because as soon as it starts dropping with this candlestick here, hopefully the exchange will move fast enough that by the time we get to this candlestick, we'll be out of the asset with a profit. Because the retracement on this candlestick, not that one, this one, will hopefully get us out of it quick enough with such a small retracement. So, as you work forward determining your trailing stop loss, both in your arming value and your retracement value, get down to the individual candlesticks and pay close attention to the relationship. Not just on your buy markers or your sell markers, but look for entries where you have buy markers and no sell markers, but then you have this situation where it starts dropping afterwards. This is probably your best representation of when to get out. Until next time.